morning, students. I welcome you all for the today's session on Module 5 under Distribution Systems. So, this is coming under Lecture 1. Today, what are the things we are going to discuss today are introduction, components of the distribution system, what are the requirements of a good distribution systems, and how are the classification of these distribution systems done, and what are the classifications that comes under AC distribution. So first, under introduction, so what are these distribution system? Distribution system is an important component of power system. It acts as a channel between the distribution substations and the consumers. It is a part of the power system which distributes electric power for local regional use. It is the system between the substation fed by the transmission system and the consumers. If we remember the single line diagram, so first half part will come the transmission part where we have primary transmission and secondary transmission. Next half part is the distribution part. What are the primary distribution? What are the secondary distribution? Voltage levels, all the secondary part of the single line diagram is the thing what we are going to study today. Main components of the distribution network are distribution substation. So along with the distribution substation, there will always be a transformer, primary distribution feeder, then distribution transformer, as I said, then distributors and service mains. First, one by one, we are going to discuss about the components. So first one is the distribution substation and transformer. The power is stepped down to primary distribution level. So after the transmission level, next comes the distribution part where the primary distribution starts. So in the primary distribution, the voltage will be stepped down to the required level by using these distribution transformers. Next, after distribution, after the voltage is being stepped down, next it should be transmitted to the consumers by the help of these primary distribution feeders. So what are these primary distribution feeders? A feeder is actually a conductor which connects the distribution substation to the area where power is to be distributed. Okay, for example, if you are having a Vijayanagar area, so there will be having so many stages. Vijayanagar first stage, second stage, third stage. So all the feeders which are feeding to Vijayanagar first phase will be from one feeder. Vijayanagar second phase will be from second feeder. So like this, a feeder is a conductor which connects the distribution substation to the area where the power is to be distributed. The key point that has to be considered while designing the feeder is the current carrying capacity. What is the current carrying capacity of the given feeder should be taken into consideration. Next is the distributor and the service mains. In a distributor, generally tappings are taken for supply to the consumers. The important feature that has to be considered in designing a distributor is its voltage drop along its length. So in the earlier case, we need to consider the current carrying capacity, whereas in a distributor, we need to note down the voltage drop. Means, so from the feeder, so that power will be taken from the distribution transformer. So in each street, you will be having one distribution transformer. From the distribution transformer, it should be taken to your home. So how it is taken? With the help of these distributors. So the power will be transmitted from the distribution transformer, and using the service mains that will be taken from the distribution transformer to your homes, that is your consumer premises. Next, service means the cable connected between the distributor and the consumer terminal is called as the service line or the service means. Next, What are the requirements of a good distribution system? The system must be reliable. So it should be reliable, ensuring continuity of the power supply at all the times. The system should comply to Indian Grid Code as stipulated by Central Electricity Regulatory Commission. Means there are some rules and regulations which are being framed. It should follow those rules and regulations. The line efficiency should be high as 90%, and the system should ensure proper protection without any leakage. There should not be any leakage current. The lines should not be overloaded, so there should not be overloading of the line. The system must be cost effective. Then the operational safety of the installations, even in the event of individual equipment failures. So even though if there is any equipment failures, there should be some safety measures that should be taken. Easy adaptation to changing load and operational conditions. Good quality of power supply. Nowadays, we know the quality of the supply is not proper. So we need to ensure that we are going to get good quality of the supply. Simplification of operational management by a transparent, simple network topology. So here, the operational management, if anything goes wrong, they should be able to easily identify at what place some fault has been occurred. Means the network should be very simple and transparent. Next, classification. So based on the type of the current, these distribution systems are categorized into two types. One is AC distribution and DC distribution. Next, these AC systems are widely adopted for distribution purpose because of their simplicity and cost-effective nature. These DC distribution systems are viewed as an economical option. Next, based on the type of the construction, means based on the type of the power that is being transmitted, they are classified into two types. One is overhead transmission and underground transmission. So these overhead transmissions are widely adopted as they are more economical than underground systems. So underground systems are only employed at places where overhead systems are not preferred due to right of way. In the last lecture and all, we have discussed about what are these underground systems. So what are the underground cables and how these cables should be designed. And since it is costlier, these underground systems become costlier when compared to overhead systems. So wherever this right of way, means it is the one standard, there should be standard distance between the conductor and the ground. So if that is not maintained, in such places we are going to use these underground systems. Based on the type of the connection, they are classified into radial feeders, parallel feeders, ring main, or it may be called as interconnected or meshed systems. Based on the number of wires, according to the number of conductors or wires used, distribution systems are classified as two-wire system, three-wire system, and four-wire distribution system. Next, under that first classification was AC distribution. That is, AC distribution is again classified into primary AC distribution and secondary AC distribution. These primary distribution lines carry the voltage ranging between 2 kilovolt to 35 kilovolt to distribution transformers. These are located near the end user. So primary distribution means, so from 2 kilovolt to up to 35 kilovolt ranges are called as primary distribution voltages. So the distribution transformers again lower the voltage. So again this should be stepped down to the voltage. But because this that is 32 kilovolt and all can't be used for household appliances. So that will be again stepped down. Commercial and residential consumers are connected to the secondary distribution lines through the service drops. So customers demanding larger amount of power may be connected directly to the primary distribution level or the sub-transmission level. So some of the industries and all directly they require 2 kilovolt or 1.1 kilovolt. In such cases, they can be directly connected to the primary distribution lines. The extra high tension transmission lines of voltages from 33 kilovolt to 400 kilovolt are used to transmit electrical power from the generating stations. So for primary distribution purposes, voltage will be stepped down. So primary distribution purpose means voltage should be stepped down from 66 kilovolt to 3.3 kilovolt with the help of power transformer. So it may be either 66 kV or 33 kV or 11 kV based on the voltage rating. This voltage is normally greater than the utility voltage of 230 or 440 volt. So these primary distribution lines are also called as feeders. Now that will be stepped down. So whatever the 6633 kilovolt is there, that will be stepped down to 3.3 kilovolt. Now up to the utility, when the utility receives, they should receive a voltage of 230 or 440 volt. So this primary distribution lines is being transmitted with the help of these feeders. These types of distribution systems are capable of handling large blocks of power. For a load requirement of 5 MVA or less, secondary distribution system transfers power out of 33 bar 11 kV secondary substations with 3 to 4 feeders. So here, so again they may be classified into primary distribution and secondary distribution. In the primary distribution, what did we saw? So here 66 kV to 33.3 kV will be there. So in the secondary distribution, again this 33 bar 11 kV will be again stepped down to 3.3 or 6.6 kilovolt, which will be distributed with the help of 3 to 4 feeders. Again, the feeders are classified into radial. It may be transmitted like a radial feeder. It may be in the form of radial feeder, parallel feeder, ring, or interconnected or meshed systems. So different types of feeders available are radial, parallel, ring main or interconnected. First one, radial feeder. As the name itself is indicating, the feeder which radiates from the secondary substation and divides into sub-feeders is called as radial feeder. So fuse cutouts are used to combine primary feeders, sub-feeders and sideways. So here you'll be having whenever you are distributing the line, you'll be having fuse cutout circuit breakers in the line. Distribution transformers are in turn connected to feeders and sideways. So this is the most commonly used feeder as it is most simple and economical. This is the diagram for radial feeder. You can see the substation bus at it may be 33 kilovolt, 11 kV or 3.3 kilovolt. So here it is nothing but the secondary distribution system. So from those we can see the bus bar. From the bus bar, so many 4 feeders are connected. With the help of these circuit breakers and fuse cutouts will be there, and that will be radiated to the different area. Parallel feeder. So in these parallel feeders, reliability can be improved. Means if any fault goes in one feeder, the other feeder continues its supply without stopping. So two or more radial feeders starting from the same or different secondary substations will run in parallel in case of parallel feeders. So equal load sharing among all the feeders is possible in identical parallel feeders. So in case of parallel feeders, load sharing can be done. Instead of if anything goes wrong, if there is no parallel feeder, there won't be any supply for that feeder, whereas other feeder starts working. Whereas in case of parallel feeder, if one line goes wrong also, the other line continues its supply. So that is the advantage of these parallel feeders. The system has greater reliability as it is capable of supplying the total load even in case of faults. In case of fault of one feeder, so as I said, the other feeder continues its supply. This type of system is expensive and is employed when continuity of supply is required for industrial loads or critical loads such as hospitals. So we know that parallel line means it will become little expensive. But even though in some of the critical cases like hospital where 24 hours we require the power, and also in some of the industries where we want the continuous supply, when you are considering the criticality, so that expensive will not be, that will not come into picture. So this is the diagram for the parallel feeder, where you have the circuit breaker and the transformer, and again this circuit breaker, and here you have the switch in between the two, that is the parallel feeders. So you can see the load is connected between the two feeders. So one will be operating. If one goes wrong, the other continues its supply. Next is the ring main or loop. Two or more radial feeders connected from the same or different secondary substations are called as loop feeders. Loop feeders are normally arranged in two ways. Either it may be open loop system and ring loop system. The primaries of the distribution transformers form a loop starting from the substation, going in a loop around the area where loads have to be supplied and coming back to the substation. While the start and finish ends of the ring are at the same substation, power is delivered by two parts of the ring into substations located around the ring. Means, as the name itself is indicating, it is forming a loop. So instead of just directly tapping, so there is another loop formation that can be done. Here we can see the diagram of this ring main system. So here, starting point, it starts from the zone substation, and then there will be interconnection between one substation, sorry, one feeder to other feeder. So next, again, since there are four feeders, so there will be an interconnection like loop like structure, and at last that it will come back to the main station, that is the terminal station. So this formation is called as the ring main or loop system. Interconnected network or meshed systems. So here, energization of feeder ring main from two or more generating stations or substation forms an interconnected system. This interconnection improves reliability since it supplies power to all the distribution transformers, even though some part of the network is out of order. So the main advantage here is interconnection. Since it is interconnected, so if anything goes wrong, so nearby connection, interconnected network gets the signal and it starts supplying power to that particular area. Okay, that is the main advantage of this interconnected network. Nearby, since it is interconnected by so many networks, so nearby connection network will get the information regarding the fault, and that will start supply to the network where the fault has occurred. Since the system is fed from more than one substation, redundancy in power supply is available. So as it is connection is done from more than one substation, that will be interconnection will be done. So because of that, there will be redundancy, means there won't be any what waiting of the power supply to come up. So as soon as the supply, as soon as the fault occurs or anything goes wrong from the another substation, so you can take the power. So you have the redundancy of taking the power supply. However, it's expensive and cost is justified. So that's why, see, since there are so many interconnections to be done, the cost will become more. It will be expensive, as in case of critical loads like hospitals and all, so that will not, the cost will not matter when you are considering the critical loads. Thank you. In our next session, we can discuss about two-wire system, four-wire system. How are the classification of distribution system done based on the wires, and how are again sub transmission are being done in the next lecture. Thank you.